Hi everyone, today I'm going to be interviewing Ashley Kinney's mom, Melanie Liu. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, how did you come to the United States? Or how did you come to be American?
Oh, I escaped in a boat,
Wow.
and I stayed in a refugee camp for 11 months. And then my sister sponsored me to America in 1982. So I stayed 11 months and then be here since then.
So when you say escape, can you escape from your hometown? Like, did you grow up in one place your whole life and then have to leave? Or?
Well, yeah, I was born and raised in Vietnam, and when the war was over in 1975, it pretty much it was the end of the world to all of us because the communists taking over the south of Vietnam. And I don't know how much you know about communists, but once you live with them, you will never accept communism as something that you should follow or anything, because it's dictator. And so anyway, so the majority of us who can afford to escape will escape. So we escape in a little boat, go to the oceans, and you never know, you're gonna be kidnapped by pirates or washed over by a storm and die at sea. Or you're gonna be lucky and be picked up by, like us, we got picked up by the American Navy ship, and then they took us to Singapore, and then from Singapore go to Indonesia, and we stay there, and then come to America. We come to America only if you have relatives here to sponsor you. You don't just get to go. So
And
my
that was
sister
your
was
sister?
already here. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So, kind of going along with that, as you grew up or as a young adult, probably before you moved here, how did you think of the United States? Like, what was your perception of what it was like? And
Well, Americans came to Vietnam with the hope to help us get rid of communists. But the war just went on for too long, and the Americans over here just got so fed up. If it was me here, I would say, no, don't send our children over there and get killed. And so they decided, let's not fight this stupid war anymore, so they left. So I already knew about Americans back then when I was growing up and all of that. And my dream always was to go to a foreign country, to live somewhere, because I just don't think, because of the war, I don't think, back then I didn't even think I would ever stay in my country. I just didn't know what country I was going to be ending up.
Wow. So, did you grow up, obviously you grew up in kind of like a tumultuous situation, but growing up, did your parents emphasize politics or like emphasize any political beliefs? Did they impress any of that into you, or did you kind of develop it from what you saw more on your own?
Well, it was not like over here of different political parties and this and that. Back in my country, it was pretty much either communist or not communist. And my family actually escaped once already. We came from the north of Vietnam, and in 1954, when they divided the country in half, just like Korea, North Korea, South Korea. Back then we had North Vietnam and South Vietnam. So my family already escaped from the north to the south. We already gave up everything, escaped once. So in my mind, it's like very clearly that it's no way in hell that I will be pro-communist whatsoever. So it's very clear that was not left, right, or anything. It's like
Life or death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So, do you think that when you came to the United States, obviously that shaped you were in a lot of ways. When you came to the United States and you became politically affiliated here, did that kind of always rest on the back of your mind, like that experience, all those experiences?
Yes. And then when I came here, I was absolutely, totally shocked to realize that naive people think highly of communists and think highly of, believe in things that like, just come on, go and experience for a day in a communist country, really, and be in there and be, it's unbelievable experience. Just take a simple experience with, they would just, in the middle of the night, knock on your door and got in the house and telling you, all right, because if you're wealthy, they want your house, they want your property, they want anything from you, they would just knock on the door at night, walk in and said, have the whole family kneel down on the floor and read an accusation list of the father, of the head of the family, and then send the father to concentration camp. And one of my very good friends, her father died in the camp, and they took everything, and the whole family, guess what? Homeless after that. So if you don't have relatives to take you in, you literally become homeless. They took everything, just like that. So when I came here, I'm like, this country, they're so naive, they don't know anything. They divided up for no reason. They should together see what the good of the country and build it up and not fighting over stupid things, you know. So it's very strong in me, and it's funny how people would say Republican, Democrat, and this and that, but in my mind, to me, the left side seem to be more sympathetic with the communists, and that's why it makes me stay away from it.
Absolutely. And I think at the same time, at least in my experience, we live in a very democratic, like Democrats region of the country, and still, like, I feel that so few people would advocate for communism now, because in hindsight, looking back at World War II and Vietnam, if you know anything about history, I feel like you would take on the perception that you have, which is like, that has to be avoided at all costs. And that this idea that those types of ideologies can bring forth more freedom just never played out in the world, and we shouldn't risk the freedoms we do have and the amazing country we do have, like, for some.
And that's the same idea that I don't know back then, the people fighting against sending troops to Vietnam, were they aware of what communism really was?
I don't know.
See, I don't know either. And so for the fact that we just gave up, and after the 1975, when the communists actually took over the South, they even confessed within 3 days, if we didn't surrender, they would have a surrender. Because they already ran out of everything, ammunitions, power, whatsoever. But because the Americans already signed some sort of an agreement with China or Russia or whatever it is, and bye-bye. And that was the end of our...
Right. And I think public support for the Vietnam War changed because not even so much of what we were fighting against, like, in a weird way, it became selfish, that we weren't thinking what we were fighting against, we were thinking about how we were fighting. Like, we were getting newsreels of our troops dying or our troops doing horrible things to Vietnamese people or whatever, and that was what changed people, instead of saying, looking maybe more broadly at, like, the impact for other Vietnamese people of what it would mean to get out, you know? So...
But the Americans have been extremely generous. They knew what they did to end the Vietnam War was some sort of their fault. And so after that, Americans are the only people that if you escape in a little boat, and my own experience, when you're out there in the open oceans and you're desperate to be saved by someone, nobody would come by except the Americans Navy ship, because they somehow, just like, you know, they feel that they're responsible, and after that they even have a program to sponsor for all of the soldiers that being in the education camp, the Vietnamese soldier, and they have a program for those people to come here without having to escape. And so they're very generous. Anyway, going back to the point of how America, we're so proud to be a melting pot, because this is the only country that would give everybody, doesn't matter who you are, what color of skin you are, what kind of language you're speaking, as long as you work hard, as long as you really do your best, you have a chance to make a living here. Compared to all my friends and relatives who didn't get a chance to settle in America, they have to go to Canada, to England, to France, to Japan, especially to Japan. Oh my God, you can just survive a day or a week there, because discrimination there to other Asian is extremely hard. And finding a job in Japan, slim. And everywhere else you can find a job, but in order to be someone, America is the only place that would actually, you work hard. Look at me. I came here with nothing. Literally, I was a refugee. Learning, I mean, I granted that I have the background in English, but I mean, I had to live on welfare for 4 months, so humiliating. But after that, I mean, got college, I got master's degree, I built my own practice, and this is the only country that would let you do that. And I'm very, very proud of Americans. You know, we let everybody have an equal chance, which is not anywhere else.
I love that idea too, that it's about the chance. It's not about giving away what's great about this country. It's about giving people the opportunity to make something of themselves, you know? And like, you obviously downplay how successful you are because it's a modest thing to do, it's a good thing to do, but I'm sure there were moments where you really had to put in the work and it was really hard. But the fact of the matter is, that's part of the American dream too, that you just fight for it, and the fact that we have those chances to fight for it here and to work for what we want, like, yeah, it makes me so proud to be a member of this country.
But it's giving to everybody who come to America. I don't know whether they all have the same experience, but I bet they all have, to a certain extent, a period of time that you feel like you can never belong, just because of anything. You still homesick, you still miss your country, you still miss the old times, and then you just look around, and if you do, as like I said, once you become part of the entire machine, you just become something that, part of it, and you keep going with the machine, you don't feel it. But when you're not in yet, you step back and look at everybody, and you can have a feeling that, God, everybody's just so for themselves, their own cold, they just walk right by you, you never say, and they so phony, they say hi to you. I used to like, they say, how are you? And I start yapping about when I realize, oh, they don't really care how I feel. They just say, how are you? Just to, to say hi, kind of a deal. But at the beginning, it was really tough. I mean, not a single day that I wouldn't think, God, why did I do this to myself? It was tough. But, it's the difficult part of the beginning in everything. In college, in high school, the first day, the first time, every first thing is that. But once you get by it, it's really wonderful.
So awesome. So I think I'll just go to the last question because this has been such like a different path than my other interviews, and I have to say I think it's my favorite one so far. It's so like interesting to hear this perspective. But can you say to you, what does it mean to be American? I know it's like a loaded question, but
Interestingly, that I don't realize it myself, but with nephew and nieces that those that have my sister and brothers children, they kept telling me how Americanized I am. I didn't even know it. And yeah, and the funny thing about it is after a while, you just being part of the American culture, being part of this life that you don't realize that you was once somebody else somewhere. I didn't mean to say that I deliberately tried to lose my background, lose my culture because I was ashamed of it or anything. But the fact that I haven't been back to Vietnam, I hate the communists that much. That all my families, everybody going back, everybody says, oh, it's a wonderful place, go on vacation, it's so cheap, so beautiful. But I still haven't managed to bring myself back. I don't know, because in my guts I have to say, this is my hometown, this is my country. I don't need to go back.
Right.
I don't need to maybe someday when the communism is over, when my country get back to where they were, to, get back to the freedom. Right now, they're still pretty much not as bad as Cuba or North Korea, but it's still pretty bad. But being an American is something that we shouldn't just take for granted, because you have to be proud of it. You have to be looking at the flag and say, wow, I actually belong, and I actually want to be proud of that flag and be proud to be an American, because this is a great country. I can't complain that, I don't know, maybe if I try this hard somewhere else, I'll become somebody else, become something. I don't want them to mean that become something, but I just say, got all the opportunities they give me. It's like so equal. They don't look at me and say, she's a refugee, and even with all of my clients, I have clients that all being served by big 8, big 4, big 5, or the big CPA firms. They don't look at me as, because I was a refugee, because I was a Vietnamese, or I was a woman or anything. Never. And when I started, that's a very interesting story, because when I was thinking about starting my own business, I was very fearful, because, oh my God, I'm going to work out of my home. All of my clients are very big. They're all being served by very major CPA firms out there. They're not going to go with me because, So I asked one of my very, very dear clients, and I said, Roger, I'm thinking of going on my own. I wonder if his boss, they would go with me because, explaining the situation. And Roger said, interesting question, let me ask Dave. And so when he came back and said, well, Melanie, Dave said, as long as your signature, he doesn't care if you work out of your closet. Oh my God, it just gave me a confidence shot. So like, wow, this guy, he is so important, his company is so successful, he's such a wonderful person. He's so loaded with money, and he's so generous. His donation is like 200 million to USC, and like, and for him to just come out and say, as long as your signature.
Mm.
I go everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And just, you know, I realized this is what a great country, because anywhere else would I get that?
Mhm. It's like such a country that values individuals too. I
Yeah.
think like people respect you, not just like the
Right.
name on your shirt or whatever.
Right.
Wow. Well, I don't have anything more to say. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome.
Yeah, that was. I'm like, let's go. That's so
Yep.
exciting for me. So yeah.
Yep. It's it's everything that I ever dreamed of in America. I even got blessed with Ashley. So
Yes. She's behind the camera. Yeah. Well, there you have it.
So you have it.
Yep.
But I hate tax season. So.